Anyway, my name is Kim Raziah, and I was lucky enough to be Gary's aunt. In 1990, when my sister-in-law, Lynn, married Wolf, our family grew with two beautiful boys coming into our lives, Kevin and Gary. Our family was lucky enough to have the boys at holidays and at many other family celebrations. My two girls, Lauren and Lindsay, have a lifetime filled of wonderful, wonderful memories spent with Gary. Some of their funniest stories are his impressions. And after the Austin Powers movie came out, Gold member or whatever it was, I just remember him walking around with his pinky and constantly yelling at all of us to get into his belly. Anyway, and he was such an incredible storyteller. And he just loved children, and he loved my two girls. In fact, the night I came home from the hospital with my youngest child, Gary was there with Wolf and Kevin and Lynn, and he just held that baby, and he was a wonderful cousin. My two girls were saying last night that Gary was the older brother that I never had for them, so they just loved him like a brother. When Gary was beginning his fire training, I was lucky enough to have him call me on several occasions to ask my opinion on several different things. I remember one phone call when he wanted my opinion. He asked me if I thought the steaks he had bought were good enough for the firehouse. He had said, I just went out and I bought these steaks. Do you think they're okay? And I said, Gary, that's so sweet. And he even told me the price. I don't know. I think they were porterhouse steaks or something. And he wanted to really impress the firemen because he had worked and he really wanted the job. One other phone call from Gary was one that I felt very honored. He had called me and asked me if I would write a letter of recommendation for him. He wanted to become a counselor at the burn camp. And it was the easiest letter to write because there were so many wonderful things to say about Gary. And at one point, I remember sharing them with my husband, David, and he had said, okay, you need to cut this letter off. But there was just so much to say about him. And as I said, it was such an honor for him to ask me to write this letter for him. Later, he told me he was sure it was my letter who got him the job, but I know it was him. I know it was him. Gary was a loving son, a loving brother, an incredible nephew, an awesome cousin, an incredible stepson and loving grandson. We will miss him so much. I know that my life was richer because of this lovable, charismatic, intelligent, humorous, caring young man. You'll be in my thoughts and prayers forever, and I'm going to miss you, Gary. I love you.
Johnny, did you want to?
Hi, everybody. My name is Johnny. And I, too, was lucky to spend time with Gary. You know, Gary was the type of a man that would make you feel safe no matter where you were. We were in Hawaii, and I don't know how to swim. And everybody else is snorkeling. And he took his time to take me by my hand and show me what everybody else was seeing. And for that, I'm very grateful. I got to spend many of our vacations with him and see him without a firefight, without doing all the wonderful things that he did. We would just see Gary. That was it. And that's what I will remember forever. The tan shorts and no shirt on, running around, killing 30 packs, and having fun. I love you, Gary, and you enrich my life, and I promise you I will always look at people different for you.
Thank you, Johnny.
Good afternoon, and thank you for showing up for this wonderful day, for the celebration of Gary Patzelt. Kevin gave me a minute, but how do you cram about 30 years of knowing somebody in a minute?
Well, I'll turn into 6.
Okay, thank you. You all heard that? He said 6. Do I hear 7? I met Gary when he was roughly about 1. I met the Patzelts through my wife, her mother and father, Ray and Claire. They lived right next door and have for years. And it was by chance, more or less. I was in the United States Navy, but a transplant from out of the Midwest from Iowa. And I come from a large family, and I miss, my family. And I don't know if they wanted it or not, but I just sort of made the Patzelts my family. I never had any brothers. I had 6 sisters, no brothers. So even though they were pretty tiny, they did everything I would expect a brother to do. They did. And one memory that I just cherish, we got to a point to where when they were really little, Kevin and Gary used to like to wrestle. Like, I don't know if you watched the wrestling on TV. I don't know what you guys did, but every time Harv came over, I got tired. I come over to visit, I'm tired, right away. Ah! Then it was time for me to go home, or try to go home. And Ellen's going, gee, thanks, Harv. Kevin and Gary like, right? But one time in particular, they were, 4 and 5, maybe 6 and 7. I don't know. And I came over as usual. I'm sure it was a weekend. Knocked on the door. Ellen comes up. She gives me a hug. And she goes, they're hiding behind the couch. They're waiting for you. So, okay. So it was funny. I think you only had the one couch at the time, so I kind of figured where they were. But it actually looked like they were so giddy, and they were doing this. We're going to get him. So I walk into the house pretending, hey, where's the boys at? Are they not here today? I walk right by them. I can see them. Oops. I know. That's money, right? Sorry. I see them out of my periphery. I walk right by them, and I'm like, geez, where are they? And Ellen's going, I don't know. And all of a sudden, I hear, let's get him. And then both of them on my legs, and they used to when you used to hang on to my legs. I don't know if they were pretending they were Serengeti cheetahs trying to take down an elephant. But eventually I would, let them feel what they were dealing with, right? And then I would let them get me down to a point. And then it was tickles for God knows how long. But I feel that where Gary is right now, we all heard how big his heart is and was, and how he loved kids. Like they said earlier at the Mass, that we're pretty sure, he's up there in heaven right now with a bunch of kids. So I feel Gary is doing what I did when I came to your family. And he's doing it up there now. So thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your family. I love you.
Next. You get half a minute.
Hey, wait a minute. I've known this family longer than him. The guy who just he wouldn't even know you people vote for me. Okay, so I'm Trish. I grew up, Kevin and Gary grew up next to me. Ray and Claire's daughter, and I've known them since they were born. And, I can't even, I'm just going to tell you a couple things that I remember. So first of all, I wanted to, I had to write it down because that's what I have to do because I'm an introvert. So, okay. When the kids were little, we used to go trick-or-treating with them. Part of my relationship with the Patzelt family is I just always say we've come full circle. Because when her kids were babies and little kids, we would go camping and go trick-or-treating, and we'd do all the fun stuff. And we didn't have kids yet. And we would do all of those things. And then her kids grew, and we started having kids. And then Ellen and the kids did all those things with my kids. And so I just feel like it's this big circle. But we went trick-or-treating with the kids all the time when they were little, made haunted houses, all sorts of stuff. But I particularly remember one Halloween when Marie was about 5, my daughter, and we're walking along, and Ellen's like, oh yeah, Gary's going to catch up with us. And Gary comes sneaking up behind Marie, grabs her, lifts her off the ground into the air, and she is like terrified. And we are cracking up. And he feels so bad because she was crying. She got so startled. And the rest of us just think it's hysterical. And Marie's like, oh, and Gary's like, I feel so bad. And we're like, ah! But she got over it. It was probably the biggest scare she had on Halloween, but she did get over it. And when Liam was about 5 years old, we were at Target. Liam's my youngest. We were at Target. Every time I went to Target, Mom, can I get a Nerf gun? Please, let me have a Nerf gun. And of course, being who I am, you don't need a gun. It's fine. So a couple months later, Gary takes Liam shopping for his birthday. And about 20 minutes after they left, I get a phone call. And Gary's standing in front of the Nerf gun aisle at Target. Trish, I thought I should check with you. He wants a Nerf gun. I'm like, Gary, of course you can buy him a Nerf gun. How am I going to say no? I mean, he wants to make my son happy, and I know he really wants to play with it. So, Gary, go right ahead, get him a Nerf gun. So, lo and behold, he comes home with a Nerf gun, happy as a lark. And the last time we went up to Sea Ranch, we were, so some of the things Gary has taught my children is how to, make a 2-liter bottle of Coke erupt using Mentos. And learning how to shatter bottles with slingshots. So we were at Sea Ranch, and my oldest daughter, she's 14. She looks, she's slight. She's tall, but very small. You wouldn't think that she could whip out a slingshot and do anything with it. But Gary, slingshot, some BBs, some wine bottles. First shot, smack, shatters the entire bottle. So I knew that Clara was going to be doing fine in high school and that no one's going to be able to pick on her. Thank you, Gary. But we had so many wonderful memories and so many fabulous times with your family. And Gary will be sorely missed. But I'm thankful to everybody who's been here and the firefighters who have been so supportive. And thanks for listening. Love you guys.
That's okay. Anybody else? Come on in.
Hi, I'm Mike Gonzalez, and I worked with South City Fire, but I retired before Gary got there. However, I met him 10 years ago because my other alter ego is Otter, and of course he is Hollywood. And at camp, Gary is Gary. We all know him. He had the easy smile. He was fun to be with, a word of encouragement. But during camp, it's busy. You got all these kids running around. But somehow, you always knew where Gary was. Not because of Gary, but there's this, where he was at, the Wranglers and Rancheros, there's like an L shape of rooms, cabins that they stay in, and then this little lake called what lake? Well, in that little green area is called the quad, or what I would call the quad. And all these kids are down there, and wherever Gary was on campus, you knew because there were all these little voices going, Hollywood, 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 Hollywood. And that was Gary. It was about the kids, and the kids all knew where he was. We knew because of the kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Of course. I'm going to give you a hug before, too.
All right, so I'm Gary's uncle, cousin, complicated, but just go with uncle with that. But when Gary, Kevin, Jen, Marilyn were all being raised, I was like the uncle that was just a little bit older than them, was more like a cousin, but a little bit older enough to be uncle-ish. I'm too loud. But I actually got to have fun with them, got to roll on the ground and play with them, and they actually thought I was cool because I was older enough to be the uncle, and watch them grow and see them grow up. And I started seeing Gary as he get older remind me of our Uncle Art, who was the guy that would play with the kids and roll around and play with the kids. And so there was like this 40, 50-year age difference, but Gary had those qualities where he would always play with the kids and make them so happy. And it's really weird watching someone you saw born suddenly grow up and become a man. And it's really weird that you see that in Gary and see it end so soon. But I'm grateful that he had time to spend with my daughters and with all the other kids that are here today, because he was such a great person for the kids. They had great chicken fights together. They had great water fights. They had all sorts of great things, and he was such a great role model to them. And Alexa didn't know the firework part here, but last week when I told them, Alexa made a card for Ellen that said that Gary's riding a rocket into heaven. And I think that's true. And I think he's making the kids very happy up there. So we look forward to seeing someday Gary in heaven, riding that rocket, making all those kids laugh and tickling them. And now, Kevin, I have to just tell you, because now the responsibility of making kids laugh, rolling on the ground, is falling to you now. And you're funny, but you got to get funnier.
Well, Gary is most definitely a hard act to follow on that one. I tried to do it last night. It lasted about 20 minutes to his 3 hours. I have no idea how he's able to do it for that long. Thank you, Chris. Monica? Apparently. Well, you're here, or is it Christian? You can do it together.
Okay, my name is Monica. This is Christian. Gary was our best friend. Yeah, we miss him a lot. And what was the last thing you said to me when I was sad and I was telling you about what happened? So we were coming home, we were on vacation, we were camping, we were coming back after we found out. And I'm really upset, and I'm sitting down and we're eating, and he looks at me, he's like, Mom, are you really sad? And I'm like, yeah, bud, I am. He's like, me too. And he goes, but Mommy, it's not that we're never gonna see Gary again. And I'm like, I know, bud. And he's like, the only difference is the next time we see him, he'll have wings. And I was like, oh, I love you, kid. I love you so much. I needed that so bad. So what do you want to say about Gary? I don't know what you want me to say. So Gary obviously lives in Pacifica. And one day he had this brilliant idea. Let's go to Frontierland Park. Let's walk from my house to Frontierland Park. And I'm like, I don't really know where that is, but I think it's kind of far. No, it's like 10 minutes away. 25 minutes into our walk, and my child is like, oh my gosh, my feet hurt. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I'm like, I'm not carrying you, Gary. Christian, all yours right now, on your shoulders. So 15 minutes later, we finally get to the park. They play, they're great, they're having a blast. We start walking home. Again, oh my gosh, Mom, I'm so tired. I just need some help. Please carry me. And I'm like, this is still really far. I was like, Gary, there you go, bud. Take Christian. He's your friend. Go ahead. And he carried Christian the entire way home. I think we made it from Frontierland Park to the bottom of the hill, and then the rest of the way to Gary's house, he carried Christian the entire time. That's the kind of guy Gary was.
I have another story.
And tell about your birthday and your Legos, and how someone owns...
Every day he picked me up from school, not only on my birthdays. He used to take me to the store, to the Lego store and Toys R Us. I said, can we just go look? And then we came back to the house, and I had like 15 bags of toys.
So at my house right now, we have every Lego firefighter toy in the history of the universe, I think. I'm like stepping on red little Legos everywhere I go. It's really annoying. Someone needs to learn to clean his room better. That's it? Okay. I say you love Gary and thank you? No? Okay. Well, that's about it then. Thank you.
Anybody else? There's no pressure here, of course, so at one point I'll do a going once, going twice situation, but Cousin Mary.
All right. I'm going to try. Oh, boy. We've spent Kevin, Gary, everybody, family, many trips up to Papa's house doing Easter egg hunts, playing in the rickety playhouse that had too many spiders for my liking. But we always had an act for getting into some kind of activity. I had a great, that about sums it up. I was thrilled at that photo, but that is us in a nutshell. I've actually posted on Facebook a photo of Kevin, Gary, and I, and it was a typical trip with us. And there was this great place up in Cobb Mountain where Papa lived that we hiked to, and there was this beautiful little swimming pool. The guys did not want to get in it because it was too cold. And so I said, well, fine, I'm going to swim over and get to the waterfall. And so I went to get in there, and it became a competition, one of many competitions that we had. And, of course, Kevin made it there first. So, he had to advertise that he's number one. And then I made it second, so I'm going to represent. And then Gary was just like, screw this. I'm just going to flex for you. You guys, you and your numbers, go for it. This is me. But there's one story that has no picture to go with it, which I really do, and I do. Sorry, Jeff, and sorry, Kevin. You both were involved. It was our house, and I don't know what I was thinking, and I'm not exactly sure what we were into, but somehow we ended upstairs in my room, and Kevin and Gary ended up in one of my dresses. I don't know. We did have to find that fit too. So, and then of course Jeff ended up in one as well as in a wig and such like that. So I had all three guys coming down the stairs in one of my dresses. And I remember Gary's dress was actually one of my favorites. It was nice and green, and he did a little show for me, posing and striking it. But that was the type of person we all got involved. We all had great memories, and I'm never going to forget that one. And I really wish I had a photo because that was great. I don't know how I managed getting them into dresses that day, but that's kind of what we did. And so I'm going to miss him, but I know in the fun moments he'll be there.
There are other photos that are incriminating that I found that we were actually paid to be allowed for a camera to be there. All right, here you go.
Yeah, he knows he's in trouble. These two are always in trouble. Except Gary, he comes up and he helps me cut wood and split it. And Ellen was helping and trying to get that out of my eye. Anyways, we were cutting wood up there, and he kept saying, "Pop, I want to use the 24." All right, no, it's 16 because you're just not used to it. You can't get it started. And then he would start cutting, and I says, "Gary, you're not cutting it straight. It has to be straight so I can split it." He turns around and he looks at Ellen and says, "Well, Papa thinks I can't run a chainsaw." I said, "Well, you can cut metal. That's fine. But you got to get it straight." So he started doing better. So he said, "Now, can I use it for a 24? So we got the 24, and he got to use it. And I was waiting. Now we were going to do this. Now, I'll get away from that. But anyways, every time these two guys get together, I see them coming. I go like this. That means I'm going for a walk in the air. So I'm sort of going to miss that. I don't know who I'm going to get to place. Well, I've got Brian over there. If he's around, he's big enough. Chris is a little short to get me up. But the one thing that I really remember, Ellen says, Kevin or Gary wants you to come down and just watch him play football. So I says, okay, and I said, okay, Gary Bear, let's go. He said, Papa, don't call me that. He said, I don't want that to get spread around. I'm sorry, Gary Bear. Every now and then I forget on purpose. And I'm sitting up there, and here comes Ellen says, you know what? There's some girls going to come up there. I said, what for? Gary says he wants you to see the silver fox. I'm looking around. I don't see anything. Well, I guess my hair is sort of white. And they come up. They sit there. They're looking at me, and says, what's going on? Oh, nothing. Then they left. And I says, Gary, what went on? Well, I just wanted to check you out. And Ellen warned me, so it wasn't quite, but it was an oddball, 3 teenagers sitting there looking at an old man. So, anyways, let's see, what I do? Must have another one somewhere. Anyways, you know, he just got engaged. I got to go that because he's gonna marry a doll. We're really great and happy to get in family, and we'll keep things right.
Thank you, Papa. All right, who's going to follow up chainsaws and silver foxes? Anybody? Going once? Twice? Well, really appreciate everyone who came up, and really glad you took the time to listen to these stories. And there are millions more. And I'm sure we all have stories of Gary. And I just want you to share them with each other while you're here, and have a great time, and we really appreciate it. Yeah.
I wanted to say thanks to everyone. I think today was an amazing day. I felt so much love and so much honor for Gary, for the family, for all our friends. I'm truly blessed, truly. This feeling of love. I'm sure Gary is sending it to us and sharing it among this room. And thank you so much for coming. Thanks to the fire department for just an amazing service, for the Champ Camp people, that all the people with Champ Camp that Gary truly loved. Gary and I would shop for 2 days prior to Champ Camp, finding stuff, silly stuff, and all of his beautiful campers that he's going to miss, and I wanted to thank the people at Newbridge, because you gave us a Gary that we had been missing for that was just really beautiful. So that time of learning and healing and sharing can't be replaced. And so I wanted to thank everyone from Newbridge. Also, thanks friends, families, neighbors. Thanks to Edgar and Jessica, which I don't think they've slept at all. Thank you. And for all these pictures, Edgar and Jessica came to the house and totally obliterated every photo album. I had empty frames. So there's 990 pictures for anybody who wants to hang around. How many hours? 2 hours and 45 minutes worth of pictures. So they're beautiful. Thank you for putting that together. So we'll cherish that. So God bless you all, and remember the love we're feeling today. It's sad love, but it's also a happy love. So thank you very much.